So, hello and welcome to this live podcast recording entitled Spinning Psytrance Then and Now. My name is Tibus. I'm here with Simon Peter. We are Destination Goa Trance podcast. We do in-depth interviews with artists, label people, organizers from the golden age of the 90s all the way to the modern era. You can find our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you got your podcast. But today we have a special treat because we have invited some DJs who have been in this business for a long time. They all play or will play at Ozora this year. And we are going to discuss how DJing has changed over the last 25, 30 years and how the music no problem. And how the music scene has changed. Because a lot has changed since the early 90s. You know, we had vinyls, now we have digital music. We had the old Goa trance, now we have, I don't even know how many sub-styles of Psytrance. We had parties in really obscure places, now we have festivals and organized club scene. Peter, can you please introduce our guests?
Yes, sir. So from right to left, we have Tristan from the UK, who's been a well-known DJ in the Psytrance scene since the 90s. He's also a producer, and he's been with the famous labels Twisted Records, and now is at Nano Records, released several albums. Please give it up for Tristan. And as I heard, he's been to every Ozora that ever was, right? Even the Solips Festival in '99, when his set was like the talk of the town. Yeah. And then next we have Emok, who is co-founder of Iboga Records, and he's also been DJing since the 90s, also a producer in projects like Phony Orphans, for instance. And yeah, their label Iboga has released names like Ace Ventura, Liquid Soul, Perfect Stranger, so the who's who of progressive psytrance, basically. We give it up to DJ Emok, please. And next we have Goa Jonas, who was raised in Goa, actually, and he's just a year older than me, but he's been living the dream at Goa, DJing as a teenager, and he's been collecting that and doing DJing all around the world. He's also a festival organizer with the Antares project, so Antares Festival, and also with Proton Music. He's doing label releases, right? And yeah, so he's been playing around the world, and please give it up to DJ Goa Jonas. And then we have our DJ Oleg representing the Hungarian scene, who is one of the founding fathers of our local scene, basically. And he's been active since the early 90s. He's been involved with the Ozora as well, but now he's the organizer of the Sun Festival in Hungary. Please give it up for DJ Oleg.
And as a first question, I would like to know, guys, why did you become a DJ? What was your main motivation? And the second part of this question is, do you remember your first party and your last? And what is the biggest difference between those? I don't know, who is the mic? You can answer.
Okay, we're not going to have any feedback. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. I know it's hard to leave the main dance floor, so appreciate it. I was, without being indiscreet about my age, I was 18 in 1988. That is when rave music, certainly in the UK, exploded. Electronic music suddenly took over the cultural universe. And obviously, I went crazy at that time. Lots of LSD, lots of drugs. Wild times. I remember the very first party I went to was when I was in Australia. It was called a rap party at the Hordern Pavilion in Sydney. And like I said, the 303 synthesizer and the 909 808 kick drum had just kind of become a huge thing. So there wasn't any defined genreification of dance music. There was it was basically organized by the underground alternative and gay scene in Sydney. But there was urban music, there was tribal music, there was hippies, freaks, ravers. Everybody was in the melting pot together. And there was this sense that this was going to change the world. And of course, in a way it did. It certainly changed my universe. And from that time, I just carried on going to parties. I remember being on the dance floor and watching DJs, listening to the music. I'd been a drummer when I was growing up as a teenager, so that was my entry into music. And I remember listening to a lot of it, and after a certain amount of time, I thought, I like this bit of the music, but that track I don't like so much. And within this framework, with this tight style of dance music, I wouldn't put that vocal in there. And I began to analyze the music in my mind, and I thought, well, maybe I need to have a crack at this. And I was living in where I went to university, my student town. There was lots of musicians and creative people. That's why I think university is so important for people, because, you know, it gives you an extra 4 years to discover your cultural and philosophical foundations. And so they said, well, give it a go. So I went out and bought some equipment and started to write my own stuff. And back then that was pre-Goa trance. It was still rave music, so I was writing jungle, drum and bass, you know, hardcore rave, whatever it was I could get my hands on. And that was my entry into it. How that has changed from the parties today, let's say the dance floor here, that's because we're all, is it just feels now that there has, the nuance, it's been refined. The art of the festival has been distilled to the absolute essence of what we want from it. And the quality, the sound systems, the decor. Look at this building. I mean, this is one of the most amazing buildings I've ever been in. And this is a little sideshow of 50 of us in here, you know, and the whole area is full of it. It's just incredible where we're at today. But I don't think the essential essence of what we're trying to achieve has changed at all. And that is to transcend our current state of mind into higher states of consciousness. And I could elaborate on that, but I won't. But that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't know you were doing drum and bass. That's new for me. That's nice. Yeah. So thanks for coming, everyone. I started I'm from Copenhagen, so the rave scene started in Copenhagen in 93, 94. Probably 94. I was punk, like I was going to punk parties in old squats, and I came from a different background, pretty wild, pretty different from what this scene is. And a friend of mine begged me for a long time to come to one of those raves, and in the end I said, okay, shut up, I come with you, and then I don't need to listen to you, right? And that night changed my life completely. It was, in 94. On the Monday, I went out, I bought 2 turntables. I went to the local record store and started buying random music and started rehearsing back home. It completely changed my life. And this whole essence of our culture and our scene, which is like a transformational experience, which I still think it is, and I still feel it on myself, it's a transformational experience. It completely transformed my life into something a lot more beautiful, a lot more awareness, so 94, and in 96, 97, we started in 96, I meet Banel, my partner in Iboga Records, and we actually made our first release. We started in 96, it was released in 97, 27 years ago, and it's been a really long and very interesting path, and I tend to agree a lot with Tristan about how the scene is today a lot developed, like things getting more professional, and it's like this combination of all kind of arts. It's not just about the music, really. It's about the essence and the frequencies between people, how we elevate together, but it's also like all the art, the structures. Everyone involved is a part of making this scene really beautiful, and the essence of that, I still think, is what started this whole thing. I completely agree with that. And there's a lot to elaborate on that thing, but I still think that these kind of events really captures the essence of why this whole culture kind of started, yeah? So, I'll pass it on to Jonas.
Thanks, Emok. Nice. Yeah, hey everyone. I have a very sexy Ozora dust voice today. As I'm also here doing stage manager and on the main stage. So yeah, a lot of loud talking because of the music, and the dust isn't very good either. So anyway, for me it all came a bit more natural as I grew up in Goa, as he already said, and we moved down there when I was 7. And my parents went with me to the evening, like we had every sunset at the shore bar or 9 bar. You had Psytrance music and people would watch sunset. And so I kind of got into it like that. I really enjoyed watching the DJs play. And when I was 12, one of my best friends at the time, who was actually playing tomorrow night at the main stage, Anarchic, Leo, started DJing as well. He was a year older. And I just decided to ask actually a Danish DJ Christian. He was at that time there, and he just started teaching me with DAT tapes. And yeah, and 12, I had my first gig on the beach in Goa. And at that age, it was like every track I played, I ran out, told everyone, "Hey, this is this track. You know how you are as a kid." So yeah, that was a funny experience, good times, and yeah, for me, it has never been, or I never had this super drug experience on the music to do that. For me, it's just been natural, and kind of the music is the drug. The aim is for all of us to be happy, and that's why I love playing music, is to make everyone happy, and that's why we're here, to be happy, to have fun together, and have this feeling of happiness and love, and that's what it's all about for me, anyway. Yeah.
What were the biggest challenges regarding the circumstances and the technology in Goa? Because it was really different from the UK or from Copenhagen.
Yeah, well, sorry. Yeah, you had digital audio tapes at the time. I guess you also played on those back then. I don't know about you, but so I never had any records. It was actually quite beautiful. You got together when you changed music, sat there for 6 hours, recorded the music first, listened to tracks, you like it, then you gotta set the levels and record the tracks. So it's a much more personal and social thing than it is nowadays. You just get it sent a link and you have 1,000 new tracks and you check them on your own. So that's a big difference to the old days. And yeah, sure, the technology, I mean, started with big cassette bags, then CD bags, and now you got a little USB and you have 1,000 CDs on there. So that is quite cool, yeah. Yeah, and the same thing. I mean, what is really noticeable in our scene and the evolution of the quality of everything, the quality of the music, of the production, of how everything sounds, the sound system, the lights, it just keeps getting better. And yeah, we keep having a better party together because of it. So that's friggin' awesome.
I just think you made a really interesting point there about how the technology affected the culture, because some of my early experience of going to record shops and wading through lots of vinyl, and you'd find one, and then it was a huge deal. I'd call up record labels to try and get on their mailing list. And if you received a white label, that was like a pre-release. You'd have a record before anyone else had it, and it would have come through the door, unmarked, unlabeled, there'd be nothing on it. This was gold dust. It would be like Willy Wonka sending in the golden ticket. And what you're saying as well in Goa, when it was DAT tapes, beautiful thing about Goa was, much like here, is everyone has come from all over the world. We're like pollen scattered, and then we come together and we bring our culture. And it was much like that, where you'd have German DJs, Danish, English, all bringing their music, sitting in houses, smoking chillums. There'd be a party pretty much every night, and you'd sit around and just trade music and communicate and get together. And so that part of the technology, those limitations of the technology, is what actually brought people together. And now, like you say, you can download it. There's there's very little connectivity. You know, if you were a DJ and you had a connection to an artist and they were feeding you their Coxbox, sending you their new tunes or hallucinogen, whatever, I mean, that would just be like, because also, I remember in Goa, there'd be 1 or 2 tunes of the season. there'd be like a hit or two of the season. I'm on fucking fire, or Mars needs women. And people would be waiting all night, and one DJ would have that, Andre or whoever, have those secret weapons. Yeah. And of course, when you do the trading, the other tunes that they would never give you. You had to. It was always a bit of a negotiation, a hustle.
I remember when I got here Gamma Goblins for the first time. I was one of the first DJs to have it. It was like, really special. And I mean, that's still nowadays the case. A lot of artists are that kind to send us the stuff. And yeah, sure, in a way, technology has made us all connect more, but in another way, it's also made us connect less. But then we have these events where technology luckily doesn't work that well, and you don't have connection to the internet and whatever, and we all finally have time to connect with each other again. And now we should also let Oleg talk here, so please.
Yeah, I was actually curious about, like, there was an obvious exchange between Goa and the Western world, so like UK artists sending their tracks over, or from Denmark, people were going to Goa, but Hungary was kind of an odd place to start the scene. And how did it happen? How did you get a hold of this music?
That time it was not easy because we had no record shop to choose from the records. So I remember sending letters to UK labels, and I could arrange myself to be on the white label list for Transient Records, and it was a big thing. And nobody had those records. In Hungary, it was much harder those times, but I was collecting music since I was a little child, because music touched me, and I started to collect audio cassettes. And in the school, I was the one who had all the music, so they chose me to do the disco, like the school disco. And then I got older, and I got also into punk music, new wave music. So at that time in the secondary school, we made dark wave disco. And then electronic music came, LSD came in my life. It changed me a lot. I had a friend from Israel, and he was all the time bringing the tapes from Goa. And so we started to make parties for ourselves out in the nature. We took LSD, and we listened to all this music, Juno Reactor in the 90s, early 90s. And the first party we decided to make was 93, more than 30 years ago. And only a few people were there, and we played from audio tapes. So every time you had to find a track, you had to rewind push the counter to 0, and then to find the song you wanna play. And also that time we were hiding behind the decks. Like it was not important who's the DJ. The party was more important. And as Tristan said, like during the week, we came together. We were listening music, it was very magical in the beginning. So the difference between then and now is huge.
In Hungary, like after the Iron Curtain fell, like the whole Western world just invaded this country with their musical and cultural input, and there were not really established clubs or anything or to go to. Or how did you find like venues to organize parties? What were the biggest challenges to start this scene basically in Hungary?
In the beginning, it was quite funny because we could get very special locations, there was a party in the Széchenyi Bath, or there was a party out in a viewpoint in Buda. So we could get very nice locations because that time nobody knew about party life, and nobody knew about acid. Nobody knew about nothing. So in the beginning it was quite easy. Those were like small parties, and then and then it became a little bit more commercial, like more parties. Now Hungary, despite being one of the smallest country in Europe, we have every weekend we have 3-4 parties with the biggest names, and I think it is something connected also with Ozora, that we have Ozora, and all the artists they love to come back here. So we are in a special position, I would say.
What is the role of the DJ? Is it entertainment or there's more to it? What do you guys think?
There's a lot more to that, but I mean, I do think the most important part is the music and what a DJ plays, because there's more than enough DJs that are not at all entertaining, but they play amazing music. So I do think that's very important. But I have also realized that it's also very important for the people on the dance floor to feel the vibes, to feel that you're also feeling the vibes, that you're having fun, that you're connecting with them. It pushes them to have also more fun if they see you're having fun. I think it's an energy exchange. And still also it will work with a DJ who is not moving at all and plays amazing music, but I do think that a little bit of vibe exchange and showing that you also have fun what you're doing is important. Yeah,
and I agree with you. And also from that talk, we talked about like exchanging music, something physical, something unique from where we came with the DAT tapes and physical vinyls. I played a lot of vinyls. It's like it was just natural that you shared together privately, but you shared to the audience as well. You wanted to be connected to this culture. And it's still like, I find it as a purpose, because the music, creating that flow state on the dance floor, being part of that, making people live in the now and just be together. It's, for me, a purpose. It's just my contribution to make the life and the world a better place. And I still feel that's a essential part of what I'm doing. And the world needs it, right?
Yeah, I think the world does need it. Yeah, definitely. I would say it is, of course, it's entertainment. At its heart, it's got to be entertaining. But that's not to downplay the word entertainment. I think transformational experiences can be entertaining. But I think what has changed is the DJ has become more of a focal point now. Everybody, if you even look at the video of the original 99 Ozora, all the videos, there's no idea where the DJ actually is. On a table somewhere behind a fluoro backdrop, and everybody's dancing like this, crazy. No one cares where the music's coming from or who's delivering it. Now it has become more of a channeling experience. But I don't want to ever forget the fact that it's the lights, the decor, all the hard work that goes into creating that space is what makes us look good and makes us sound good and makes us feel good. So it's an amalgamation of a hell of a lot of work, but we're the ones that have to stand up there and stick our neck out and do what we do. So yes, it's entertainment, but from that launch point of entertaining people, we can all collectively change our own lives for the better. And I think that's why we're all here, not just to have a good time, for sure.
Yeah, that's really true. Yeah. And if it comes to DJing with digital music these days, you already mentioned that back in the day you had white labels, you had to be on a mailing list to get the new music. Now you all of a sudden get thousands of tracks per day. How did this influence your style of DJing, the selection process? You don't have to carry huge crates of records or DAT tapes, but maybe the selecting process has changed and your music changed along with that, right?
I'll answer this. I actually stopped DJing quite a few years ago in 2008 or something like that, and I just focused on my live set. my live production stuff, but I still DJ my music. But one thing that used to really do my head in, and I think it's not just for music, but it's information overload. You go on the internet and you've got thousands of tunes, or it's like going on Netflix. You get your dinner, you sit down, what we're going on Netflix or whatever it is, and you finish your dinner before you've even left the menu, because there's just too much to choose from. And it's the same with music. There's just so much music out there, and that's part of our job. We are a filter for that massive stuff out there, and we cherry pick all the good stuff, and then that's what we present to people, so they don't have to do that. You can just come and hear what we consider to be, our vibration.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So actually, you can find the good thing is you can still find good music. Just the number of the songs you have to search through changed. So yeah. It's a big difference. Because in the old times it was only a few crazy people doing the music, and now it's easier, which is not bad, because this technical change is absolutely not bad, because you can still find very good tunes, which is good. What is bad is like there are a lot of typical shames, typical things. How you say?
Sounds and generic sounds.
Generic sound, which is after a while it gets boring.
Yeah, I mean that is something that I mostly notice checking for new music. That there is so much more than it was, but the quality is harder to find because there's so many who actually use the same themes, the same sounds, especially when you've been listening to this music for 30 years, you keep hearing sounds again you've heard before, and which, I mean, I don't even think it's super important to have new sounds. It's just the way they're put together and the way they play with each other and communicate, which makes a difference. So it can be a sound you've heard before, as long as it's put into a track and in an intelligent way. And nowadays you just have so much music, everyone can do it, and a lot of it is not good, that's...
Yeah, and as Tristan said, like this with the filter, it's some kind of filter. For me, it's like the music that I choose has to be somehow personal, and to explain that, running a label for many years, working with a lot of very different artists. The thing about being an artist today that we spoke about before, DJ artist, is being and creating something that is personal, that comes from you. And the music I pick is definitely something where you hear the personality. I'll be that filter. And in my world, when it comes to electronic music, there's only two styles. We talked about the multiple styles. In my world, it's only good and bad, and I'm the filter for you guys.
And ultimately, it does one of two things. It makes it easier to dance or harder to dance. When you're on the dance floor, I've been there, you do a 12-hour shift. Sometimes your ankles might be double the size, your back's aching, and a good DJ will come on and play a banger of a tune, and woo, I'm off. And all that pain and tiredness goes away. And that's just an instant manifestation of the healing power of music right there.
That flow stage.
Yeah, and I do kind of disagree with what you're saying about the quality is low. I think the quality is all so high that it's very hard to find music that stands out from the crowd now.
Okay, that's maybe more like it, but that's what I mean, that a lot of them use the same schemas, the same build-ups, sounds, samples, drums, whatever, that you keep recognizing the tracks instead of putting... So yeah, you do have a high quality, but they all sound very similar. So yeah that would be...
Because I don't think I've actually heard a bad track on that dance floor. I've just heard music that's not quite to my taste. And I think maybe I'm preempting one of your questions here, but what you're saying is about everybody, one of the things that's changed the most is the technology. I used to have a studio, it was like, I had 5 kilometers of cables, it was like spaghetti bolognese in there with all the synths and keyboards, and now I can do it all on a laptop, on the aeroplane with a pair of headphones. And it's a kind of a democratization of technology. Everybody has got access to that now, and everyone's got access to the internet, so they can download all the software, all the samples.
Yeah, YouTube tutorials,
which
whatever.
levels the playing field. Yeah. But the rising tide has lifted all the ships, basically, is how I see it.
Yeah, it's true. In the old days, it was very hard to make music. I did it on an Atari in the old days, on a G4. It was like 32 megabyte RAM, and you had to keep saving the track or it would crash. Yeah.
Yeah, and all that brings a bit to what I said before as well. If you're out there and you're starting making music and you want to create something, it's easy just to get a laptop and start creating music, but make it personal. Don't try and say, I like this, I'm gonna make my music sound like this. If it comes from in here, then it will stand out.
Exactly, well said.
Connecting to that a bit, it's rare that nowadays DJ is not a producer. Why do you think that is? And Tristan, you said that you stopped DJing quite a while now. How did producing music shape your DJ set, and how did it affect your DJ set that you created music? So what was the connection there?
When I produce music, I think it's like any artist. You have something in your mind that you want to create, and you have the tools or the colors in your palette that you have to create that. And the art form is to create or present to the external world that which you have in your mind. And what I wanted to create wasn't necessarily a sound. I didn't have something in my mind, but I just knew what I wanted the music to do to people. And that was to give them the experience that I'd had when I was on the dance floor on, several hundred mics of LSD or whatever. I don't need that now. But those transformational experiences that I had, when I saw the light and I felt that connectedness and everything dissolved into one, and we had that and I had that universal sensation, is like, I want to create that for other people. And I think that experience is a universal one across all cultures, across all time. And that's kind of one of the unique things about Psytrance. And like I said, I've experienced many other genres of music. I don't think many other genres are trying to achieve those states, but I am. So I was DJing because I was struggling to create enough music to do, and DJ sets were longer back in the days. 3 or 4 hours was an average set time. Now the 1 hour is kind of quite a new phenomenon, which does break up the flow quite a lot. But to create 3 hours of music that does that transformational experience is hard work. So I would mix that up. And as my production got better, that allowed me to create more and more music. And eventually I managed to just drop away playing other people's music, because I found if I played someone else's music, it was very idiosyncratic, my own personal style. And if I played someone else's track, it would take that journey on a slight detour. So I don't know if anyone is aware here, but I suffered from quite serious tinnitus, ringing in my ears. And that's one thing that stopped me from DJing, because when you're DJing, you have one ear to the headphones and one to the monitor speaker, and you've got the track that you're mixing, the one that they can't hear is coming out of that, and the one that the dance floor is coming there. And you have to have the sound pretty loud, because you're in a very loud environment, and you do that at home, or you party 2-3 times a week and then go out the weekend and do it, it can really punish your ears. So that's one reason why I had to phase out my DJ career. So it was also, another reason that pushed me there.
Yeah, but I find it really interesting, like, that you have, for you to play the music is to help people to get this transcendental feeling or that, and the connectiveness. And for me, it is really about creating happiness and euphoria and making the people happy and dance and have that energy. And it's about that for me. But it's, both are really good intentions. And I think that's quite interesting. I've, never talked to you about that. So.
Yes, this is something I wanted to tell, because when I started DJing, my main goal was to give back the experience I received, and this transformational state, this happy state, this is what I wanted to give back to the crowd. because I think we are doing a very important job by having people gather together, dancing together. This is something which is missing from our society, and which is more ancient, or as ancient as humankind. If you see in Africa, people are dancing together. If something good happening, if something bad happening, they dance together. And if you are on the dance floor, and this is something else which is important. I wanted to do DJing until I can enjoy the dance floor. If I lose my connection to the dance floor, and I see a couple of DJs who are not there anymore, who just came, play their set, and they leave. And this is something I miss from them, because then it became a very ego trip kind of thing. And if you have the connection with the dance floor, that's a very important thing.
Yep.
Yeah, stay humble, as Jonas say, and yeah, my biggest inspiration, both for DJ sets and for producing music, comes from, also as Tristan said, being on all those dance floors for days and dancing, and just coming home with your head full, and all those, like, all this passion and all this love, you know, and yeah, tapping into that inspiration is what I used all my life.
Yeah, I guess it is like, yeah, because I just grew up with it, and for me it was from the childhood something normal, and it was part of my childhood and my life, so I have a different view to it than you guys, I guess. I don't know.
There is a certain special kind of alchemy when you have music and dancing, loud music and dancing. What is it? I still can't, even after all these years of doing it, I just can't put my finger on why it's so amazing. Why I love it, and why we all enjoy listening to repetitive beats over and over, ding, digga, ding, digga, ding, digga, ding, for 7 days, pulling these moves, and it feels so incredible. I mean,
Maybe that's your answer.
Yeah, and you mentioned that with technology, music creation got a little bit more democratized, so everyone with a laptop can create music. It also means there are a lot more producers nowadays, and along the same line, so as technology evolved, the sets also got shortened, as you said. Nowadays it's 1.5 or even 1 hour for a set, and it's mostly producers. Here, if you look at the Ozora lineup, it's most of the names are like live acts, and very few DJs here and there in between. How do you think this has shaped the scene in recent years? Do you still, would you love to play longer sets, like 3 hours? Do you think it's missing? What is driving this change, and what's the impact on the scene? What do you think?
I love long sets. I absolutely love them. It does depend on the environment and the crowd that you're playing to. But being able to take people and myself on a journey and have the freedom to dig deep and to go to places that you didn't think that you were going, because it's quite a thing when you're DJing and you're out there. And I might have, like, I'm playing tonight, all I want to do is figure out what my first track is going to be. I still haven't figured that out yet. I've got quite a few, and I'm like, oh God, I'm nervous until I can figure that out. And when I've got that first tune in the bag and you play it and you're off, you're good and you're going. And from there, you just feel it out. And so if you've got 1 hour, you don't have a great deal of time to meander and actually converse. So I think it has reduced the spontaneous nature of the journeys that we go on, because if you've got 1 hour, it's going to be all hits, all killer, no filler, and that's kind of what you get, those big crowd moments, which is great, and people respond, and DJs get their YouTube, their Instagram moments and all that. But that's, you know, people have to play that game, but that is not what it's about. So long sets, check, you get that from me.
Yeah, I totally agree with Tristan. It's like, of course, the scene changed. Like back then, it's very common to play 3-4 hour sets. You go to raves, there would be 3 DJs. They would play 12 hours even, you know, and that was it. And I personally love the really long sets, you know. It takes me an hour, maybe more, to really, like, I feel like getting into the same stage as the dance floor. Like, I'm just, like, there and just floating with the music. And I think it's a shame breaking up, like, the whole event into 1 hour slots, because it's also about this, like okay, you want to create a big lineup with a lot of people, and it's based on selling a lot of tickets mostly. I think that's really wrong, because like being on a dance floor, having the music change every 1 hour, it breaks your frequency, it breaks the energy. Everyone stops every 1 hour clapping, and someone else comes on and plays something maybe different. So the organizers have a very big responsibility in creating a lineup where the music is kind of connected. And I do have a funny moment. I was playing with Tristan not long ago, just after COVID, in Brazil on a big event. We're playing 1 hour, and I'm playing after him. I was fucking shitting my pants, you know. Tristan stops in 148, and I'm more progressive guy, and I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do? The organizers put this together all wrong, you know, like, but yeah, it takes a track or two and then forget about it. But you get what I mean, like that kind of thing also breaks the energy in the dance floor, and that should be the awareness, really, to keep that flow, and cutting it into small sets will just break that. And everyone here, I think, can agree on that, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. But I would like to say something to it as an organizer and someone who I do the bookings for a big festival. And there is also a lot of pressure because I know everyone knows me, they all want to play. I try and make it possible for everyone. And that also is how sometimes these long sets, I know not for most festivals, they do it to get the people and have as many names as possible. But for me, it often happens like that. And then I try and give that friend another chance, and then suddenly, oh shit, now it's again a bit too short sets. But then, as I'm a DJ, I do it exactly like you say, because, yeah, you have to then plan the sets accordingly, take each artist like one track, and then have a nice wave, a nice set for the whole festival. Yeah, otherwise it does not work. Like you and Tristan after each other.
As an organizer, I also many times I make this mistake that I want to invite as much artists as possible, and at the end, everybody can only play like a short time, which is bad. As a DJ, I also enjoy the journey. And in the old times, sometimes it was only 2 DJs for the whole night. Yeah.
Can I say why, though? I think you would have experienced this. In Goa, the original, and that's where I had my kind of psychedelic epiphany, was there. It was free parties.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the DJ would be inherent in putting it on. I remember when I started DJing, I would put on parties so that I could play at them. And me and a couple of mates would play, and we'd put on an event, whether it was wherever it was, but they were free, so there were none of the constraints about having to sell tickets or do that, and people would come on, and they had all this music they want to present to people, and I think that's, we're looking at how it's changed. Yeah. That's how it's changed, from the free party movement to the very organized, slightly more...
and also the thing, in the old days, there would never be a break between the DJs. This whole thing just evolved, I don't know when, some point, N90s, I would say, because when I started in 95, it was still normal, you just mix into each other, and it's one long party, and then the clapping at the end is for all the DJs, and that's it. So, yeah. But yeah, due to... Oh, sorry, please. Yeah.
The audience has changed a lot. Generations grow out of the scene. Maybe they come back later with their children. But what do you think? How did it affect the music and the DJ sets? If it did affect it at all?
Well, I do think that our, the social media is something that has changed the way the young people and the new generation enjoys the parties. It is all about the drops, about all of these moments instead of the whole experience. And that is, I would say not here, especially here. There's more alternative people, but in the general dance rave scene, it's all about this show and drop and to show. And I think that's something that's changed. Yeah.
I think that the psychedelic trance scene is very non-ageist. Tonight we've got 1,200 micrograms. Raj and Chicago, combined age of more than 150, playing on the main stage, and people worship those guys. They love them. I party with people from all ages, all age ranges. Everyone is welcome. No one is ostracized for the way they look, the way they, their age or the way they dress or anything. And that's what's beautiful about it. So yeah, bring on the new generation. Let's educate them and grow together. But it's not like one in, one out.
Yeah, I agree. I think the generations are the same. We were young once, so they live the same cycles. What changed is the world, the social media, and all kinds of things. And when we were young, we wanted to be happy. We wanted to escape the world, and now nowadays. It's so much happening in the world that people they just want to lose themselves. So it's not always a happy experience that they are searching for. Sometimes they just searching for losing themselves and forget about everything. This is my opinion.
Yeah, and to that, again, it brings me back to that transformational experience because, yes, come there, lose yourself maybe for other reasons, but what this scene and this culture creates is actually a place for these people to be, and the music and the culture do transform. So this younger generation, they didn't come into this scene as we did in the early rave days when the whole thing started, like it's a different entrance, but I still do believe that our culture is creating the strongest thing we have is that transformational experience. There should be place for people coming with other intentions, losing themselves, maybe getting too high and something, but I do believe that 1 or 2 or 3 events for these kind of people change their life as well for the better, and this is what we do, and this is the important and the essence of our scene.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, that's what it is. You go on the dance floor to dance and lose yourself. Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's about. That's what we're here for, to disconnect from the world, to let loose, to be how we want to be and enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say one thing that just occurred to me when you were saying is the young generation. I think the next generation comes in and they kind of want to be represented. So I think the rise of the more, let's say, the high-tech scene, for example, that's a new thing that's come in that's kind of bamboozled quite a lot of the older generation. They're like, right, okay, where's how do I dance to this? It's so damn fast. And what are people getting out of this? They need to find an entry point, I know, myself included. And you've got to understand, young generation culturally have always come up and challenged the status quo, and there very much is a status quo in Psytrance, and they've come and shaken things up. And what I like about that faster music is its attitude. It's got that punk mentality. It's saying, you know what, you guys have been doing this. We're gonna shake up the beehive.
And I think it's important to embrace that thing. I remember myself, my first really big gig, I think I was 20 playing in Woof experience, and, someone there gave me a chance, and I kept on doing what I do, and I think I was seeing promoters, people putting up events, have a responsibility to give those young artists a room and a place to evolve and also bring their new creativity, that new point of the music and to be represented, and I hope more organizers and festivals would embrace that more, because I think personally there's a big lack of it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we did this year at the Antares. We made like a newcomer contest for our psychedelic techno floor and the Psytrance floor, and we made a voting over a month, and we got 2 newcomers who are still new to the scene, and it was very nice for them and to be able to be presented, and they played really well, so it was a really good experience. Yeah.
Embrace that.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, there are so many new styles now in psychedelic music, and the festivals are like showcasing all of these different styles. You mentioned like this punk energy is driving like the high tech scene, but what do you think in general about the scene splitting up into different styles? Some festivals only playing one style of music and not playing high tech at all, or just playing progressive, or just playing full on. So do you think this is the way forward, or the scene should like keep this kind of flow of dark music at night and then maybe happier music in the morning, like Mark Ainley was talking about in the talk before, that you have to suffer through some music you don't like? What do you think about that? What's driving this?
I have my personal view, like people putting up events should decide what they do for them. But for me, music is a wave, you know? Music has always been a wave. When you look at it digitally, it's also a wave, you know? So you don't have ups without a down, and you don't have downs without an up. So that energy you create, if it moves from something a little softer and going up. So I think the flow of the music being put together by the organizers in the right way creates those peaks of really great energy. In my point of view, if it stays up there for 3 days, the energy somehow disappears. But that's my personal opinion. So I embrace the up and down.
I just heard we only have 5 minutes, but yeah, I do think it's important, because if you have the same style music the whole festival, which you can do, it just, the energy stays same. And also someone who's on the dance floor also wants to find new music they've never heard before. And I think that's the incredible thing, that we have these so many different styles in Psytrance. I mean, there must be at least 20 nowadays. I don't know. I don't even know how to name them all. But I think it's very important that we get more, and everyone has something they like.
When I was driving into the festival, I had this feeling that there are many other events of this kind of size, 25 to 30,000 people, but they might have 10 different stages with all different music happening. And there's plenty of activity here, but there's one main stage. And again, not for every event, smaller events can specialize. But what I love about the Ozora is I come here and I feel that we are one family, and everybody is represented in that, and that's beautiful.
Yes, agree.
Absolutely.
Why aren't Psytrance DJs play older music? I mean, okay, they are not playing Goa trance because that's a completely different style, but I miss the old Psytrance, like Logic Bomb, Coxbox, all of those tracks. They're all progressive, like Antics, Beat Bizarre. Nobody plays those, and artist tracks, albums fade away. Why do you think that is?
I don't think that's really true. I play tracks from 12 years ago in between the sets, and from all the years, because I think in the end it's about good music. But the reason most probably is production level, because if you play a track from 20 years ago and you play one from today, the people on the dance floor will think, what's happening? What's this shitty sound? Yes.
Yeah, but there is luckily events who is doing events for that purpose. I just came from Set&A Festival 2 weeks ago in Portugal. What a wonderful event. Only old music, and the energy that created. It's like, okay, the audience was a bit older, but people crying and all those emotions and stuff like this creates a special energy. So there should be plays, a day, a stage, a moment,
Exactly
some
that.
hours to represent that. Because like me playing that music, I was goosebumping through my all my set, because like I had so much emotions and so many good memories from that music, and it's something we should keep on doing, right?
And is there like anything you miss from the old days of DJing compared to nowadays? Like, do you miss like digging record crates, or like spinning vinyl, or collecting duct tapes? Is it something that you would wish you could do and inject from the past to today's festival culture? Or is it like good as it is now, it's better than ever? Where was the best time to be a Psytrance DJ? What do you think?
As for me, I would say I like the technology nowadays. Like it helps me a lot when I create my set. I can cut. Nowadays, what I do, I cut the breaks out, because the dance floor usually they don't like a lot of breaks, and I know it's sometimes like the artists. I mean, there is a reason why they put the break in the middle of the song, but after a while, if there are too much breaks, for example, the dance floor gets bored. So what nowadays I do before my set, I run through the tracks through a record box, and there is an option where you can easily cut out the parts you don't want. And this way, it helps me a lot. I can quickly create and cut music, and with the new players, I can see the waveform, so I know exactly what's gonna happen. The needle want to jump while somebody is dancing. As for me, I like this kind of technological change.
Yeah. It's easy to harp back to the golden era, to the golden times, and think about that. But I think technology cuts both ways. But I think when it's used in the right way, we live in the greatest era, that I can remember for sure.
I got one good story about it. In the millennium, I was playing in Berlin on a party, and I was carrying my vinyl set, a heavy bag, and I saw the German DJs playing from computer CDs, and I freaked out. Like, how is it possible? Like, I was collecting the records, and now they just came and play from computer CDs. A few years later, I had my CD case with the computer CDs. There is nothing bad in technological change.
So one thing that I think, and is beautiful, we're still releasing a lot of vinyls in Iboga. Even though I don't play the vinyls, I wish to do sometimes, but I'm happy not carrying it. But the personal connection to your music. Music should also be something you can connect with and touch. I'm still playing vinyls. I have a countryside house where I go, where I have a lot of vinyls. And when I'm with friends, it's something you physically do together. We go, I flip the vinyl, and the second one here, this is the one I really want to. So something physically, the physical connection to the music. I know, like, everything is in playlists and Spotify, digital, you could get everything. But I embrace that, and I like that the vinyls are still around, because for many people, that personal, physical connection to the music is essential. Yeah.
I totally agree on that. And what I also miss are the long sets from the old days.
Well, unfortunately, our time is up. You can still catch Tristan today at 11:30. Jonas tomorrow at 8:30. That's right.
I might come as Goa Jones, like they wrote on all the boards here, but...
And thanks for coming. Give it up for the guys.
Thanks for coming, you guys. And talking about the old school, there's one gentleman here who is got his YouTube channel, and he plays lots of old school tracks and talks you through them, and he's so passionate about it, and he's really flying the flag. Please remind me of the channel name. Retro Goa Explorations. No, it's awesome. Check him out. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we still have time for a Q&A, or is it...